Jang seeding baby greens. I promised after making videos during the growing season that I would come back and talk about the specifics of the rollers and gears for seeding baby lettuce and baby spinach and things like that. And so I'll show you the video that I made about that, and I'll talk about what I decided for how I'm going to do things next year at the end of this video. I'm going to go ahead and hand seed that half bed of baby chard because I still have not quite figured out what roller might work out for seeding that. It didn't work great last year. I haven't really come up with anything better. 9 rows with the baby greens. I like 5 rows with the roots. The funky looking seed that does not like to be seeded by the Jang seeder. We're going to seed this about every inch. Let's call it 1.15 before seeding. Does it weigh 0.1 ounces? 0.79 ounces. Okay, almost 0.6 ounces left after seeding. I'm gonna go ahead and cut some or all of that half bed of baby chard in the back there. Some of these guys are still pretty little, and some of them are bigger. I am using the F24 roller in the Jang seeder to seed this spinach. I'm using the 11 by 11 gear, which gives me 1.5 inch spacing, just like I did with the carrots. I probably should do a tighter spacing, but I don't want to change the gears. I'm gonna get 5 rows in here. If I feel like I can, I'm gonna get 9 rows in. .12 before. Okay, 0.22 ounces of seed left. I just took the row cover off the spinach bed here because the sun just came out and it's awfully warm, and I haven't seen any migrating sparrows for a very long time. So anyway, this is what it looks like in case some birds come up and tear it up. I actually did have spinach coming up here, and germination looks pretty good. There are definitely bare spots, you know, in this patch, and that I don't think is either seeding or germination. I think that's just crane fly larvae eating through parts of this bed. But these guys are, some are bigger than, almost bigger than baby leaf. So I'm just gonna give this thing the first cut. Okay, so I've decided what I'm going to plant in these 2 tilled beds. I did a little test of lofty salad mix early in the greenhouse, and that worked out really good. I've gotten a couple cuts already, and so I went ahead and bought more seed, and then later, if I decide to plant my Salanova lettuce flats, you know, into a half bed here, I'll just plant that amongst the seeds too. I want a really tight spacing for this lettuce seed. I've got a 24 hole roller. Let's do 0.5 inches. And so that requires gears 9 in the rear and 14 in the front. Okay, so we got 9 in the rear, 14 in the front. I'm using the XY24 roller with the crisscrosses. Got the brush up just a tiny bit so it doesn't knock the seeds out, and if I get too much seed, that's okay. Okay, I was a little bit nervous about the brush being too high, so I lowered it, and there's a little less daylight between the brush and the roller. I just dumped all the seed in the hopper, even though I'm not going to use anywhere near all of that. These beds here are kind of tall and they're a little bit skinny. And so I'm just going to put in 5 rows. So I'm not, you know, I don't have stuff dangling off the edges. 4.29 pounds Lofty Salad Mix raw seed before seeding. 3.79, 3.80 after seeding. So these are the 2 beds of lettuce that I seeded in Lofty Salad Mix. And I'm gonna go ahead and let the salad mix grow in this full 40-foot bed, but I had transplanted the green onions amongst the Lofty Salad Mix seed. And now I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing and plant the Salanova lettuce, pull off this cover and plant it in there. Okay, so those guys needed to be planted out a week or so ago. They're awfully long and leggy. The Jang seeder did a really nice job seeding this bed. I'm gonna harvest half this bed of Lofty Salad Mix, 20 feet, and then grab a few heads of red Salanova lettuce, and then I'll process that. I cut this first half 20 feet last week. The second back half 20 feet is way too big for baby leaf. It's almost more mature size, and there's no way I can cut it kind of above the crown and have it grow back properly because it's just too mature at this point. Okay, so this is what I'm going to start with. I'm going to harvest this bed of lettuce. The Lofty leaf here is a little smaller because it's having to compete with the Salanova. And so I'm just gonna cut it quite a ways above the crown as baby leaf. And I'm gonna harvest this lettuce here. And so then not all of my beds are being cut too late because this is only just now ready to cut. And I'm gonna start with that and then consider what I need to do for these beds later on. Okay, so I've got harvested most of this bed of Salanova, the red, and then I started working in the green. I've just got a little bit of green left in the back there. And then I was cutting the Lofty Salad Mix in between as I went along. So it's kind of a nice mix. Kind of glad I did that. If I had waited, then this would have been too far gone next week. So this bed over here in the back, that's 20 feet, is too far gone. I'd considered like cutting it and bunching it as like mature, just kind of unwashed romaine lettuce mix. But yeah, this stuff is nicer, so I went with this stuff. And I think what I'm gonna do here, this is crazy. I'm gonna pull out that back half bed of romaine lettuce, throw it in the compost, and tonight I'm gonna seed some more Lofty Salad Mix because I think I have just enough time that I hope that it would be mature as baby leafed right at the end of August when I might need something nice and fresh. I didn't think I'd be doing this Jang seeding this time of year. I've got the gears are 14 in the front, 9 in the rear. XY roller, do 20 feet, 5 rows. that earlier in the week, I had seeded this 3 rows of lofty salad mix, and it's coming up really nicely. I'm really happy with that. And then the previous week, I did this half bed of lofty, and it's coming up really nicely. So if I have any holes in the bed, it's because something's eating it. And this is the half bed that I seeded the week before that, and it's doing really nicely. I've got a little gap over here where something's been eating the little guys here. These front leaves are all pretty nice and fluffy for baby leaf, but then back here, you know, they're kind of smaller. So the last time I cut 20 feet of this stuff, I got almost 4 tubs, I think it was, almost 20 pounds. So now I've just got 1 tub. Okay, so baby greens, starting out with a baby chard. I think that next year in 2023, I may try and take a roller and drill some deeper holes so that they might be able to take that odd looking seed, and maybe it'll seed baby chard, and also beets, which have that same odd looking seed. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and see if I can't get the Jang to seed those crops. Baby spinach, I used the F24 roller for that, and I've used it in the past, and it works. I think it works pretty good. I was lazy and I didn't change the 11 by 11 gear, which gives 1.5 inch spacing. I think I might want to make the spacing a little bit smaller, maybe 1 inch. I don't know if I want to go down to the 1/2 inch that I did for the, you know, like the baby lettuce mix, but I might. Maybe I'll experiment with spacing on that. And also, I had done 9 rows. Eventually, I decided to do 9 rows with the baby spinach. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe I should stick to 5 rows. You know, I tried that with the lofty salad mix later, and I actually liked it. I think it filled in pretty nicely and gave me a good cut. So I might try for the baby spinach a smaller spacing and 5 rows instead of 9 rows. So we'll see. And yeah, I think that it worked pretty good. I did see gaps, you know, in the mature crop, but I think that that might have been just the crane fly larva eating the spinach, just like it was kind of eating some of my Salanova lettuce that I planted that year. So then as far as the baby lettuce mix, the lofty salad mix, I used the XY24 roller, which is the same one that I used for raw carrot seed this year. And that seemed to work really good. I had it at the 14 front gear, 9 rear gear, which gave me 0.5 inch, 1/2 inch spacing. And I did 5 rows. And I don't know, that seemed to work really good. So I think I'm going to stick with that if I decide to do baby lettuce mix like that again. I did find that I didn't like doing a second cut. I mean, I could. I got second cuts off of most of my lettuce mix that I grew this last year, but it's just so much harder because the leaf just doesn't look as good. It's been in the ground longer. Slugs tend to kind of start moving in a little bit more. So I may try to do just a single cut this next year. We'll see. I did find that it was not a good idea. I kind of didn't have a lot of choice, but I had seeded that lofty salad mix into one bed. Then I planted green onions in it. I transplanted Salanova transplants into it. And the lofty grows so well that it kind of choked out my Salanova lettuce. I expected it to be the other way around. I thought the Salanova lettuce would just kind of choke out any of those, the lofty salad mix that I had seeded around it. And so then it wouldn't be a big deal. But yeah, that didn't work out too good. But it was fine. I was able to cut it all at the same time. And so it was a nice mix all at once. Yes, and so then I did try seeding lofty salad mix into the greenhouse walkways because I was having issues with my lettuce getting eaten by crane fly larvae, so I was just seeding lettuce everywhere. And I had more difficulty getting germination in the greenhouse because sometimes it would just be, I think, too hot. So the first seeding I did didn't come up very well. I pulled out whatever little mangy looking stuff that came up that had grown up, and then I seeded some orich in there. But I was having a problem with that seed germinating, so I don't know if it was the roller that I used for the orich or if it was just, I think it was a germination issue. So then I was like, oh, well, that's not working. But then lo and behold, the lofty salad mix that I had initially seeded kind of finally came up. It finally germinated. And then I was able to get a number of cuts off of that. So definitely harder to get good germination of baby greens inside the greenhouse because I think it's just harder to keep it wetted. And it's harder to, when it's hotter in the greenhouse to get those to germinate. Anyway, those are the things that I learned this year about seeding the baby greens. And yeah, I'll just do a little bit more experimenting with that. But I'm kind of feeling pretty good about the rollers and gears that I used, and just will make a few modifications this next season.